Welcome to RGBA, colorful tech news and reviews. This is episode 66. My name is Alexandre Valliere-Lagacé, and I'm joined by my co-host, Tyler Ménard. All right. So following up last week, 2 weeks ago, on the last show we released, I reviewed the Nespresso, and since then I just got myself a little temper, and I took out all my old reusable cups that I had from a couple of years ago. And basically, after a little bit of experimentation, it's pretty great. I remembered it was quite good in the past, but now that I have a temper and I can actually squish in the little cup to have an even, straight, compact piece of coffee grains, it's pretty great. I'm able to get the crema not as thick and as abundant as the Nespresso aluminum cups, but very close to it. So, and it cost me like pennies for a coffee instead of the 76, I think, cents Canadian for an espresso cup. So that's pretty great. It's just a very simple metal, quite heavy temper that I got on Amazon for like $10. So very simple, and I'll put the links in the show notes if you want to check it out. It's pretty great.
But the coffee and the Nespresso cups aren't tampered.
I don't know. I've never really like
Open one up.
Yeah, because I don't want to waste it.
70 cents.
I know. I should probably.
Right.
I don't know if it's tempered or if it's just filled a lot. Like, well, it must be squished a bit, because when you open a cup to clean them up and recycle the little aluminum thing, it's quite dense. So I'm pretty sure if it's not temped, it's super fine grain, and maybe because sometimes machines, when they fill containers, they have like ultrasonic vibration to it, so that like everything like shakes very fast and everything gets tamped like naturally. So maybe that's what they do for the creation of the cups. But there's something to that. It's not just the coffee is good. There must be either it's filled so much that like it's kind of naturally tamped, or there's some kind of a shake to it that makes it tamped naturally.
Okay, so follow up next week. You're gonna have pictures of one of these cups open.
Yeah, I'll do that for sure. Being cheap. All right. So following up last week, I shared my Winboard GTM8 2.0 unboxing. Since then, I had problems with the board. It was basically dead. I was able to ride to work and back, and I was able to do maybe 2 15-minute sessions for it. And then even after a full charge, like a 3-hour charge, which is kind of like the initial charge they require, and then it's supposed to take 2 hours to recharge. Even after a couple 3-hour charges, the board would power on, would pair with the remote, like move the throttle to go forward or backward. Nothing was happening. And after emailing with Winboard, basically we did a bunch of diagnostic. I opened the board, I disconnected and reconnected every cable. Everything seemed to be fine. It's just that the wheels were not turning. So they're going to send me a new PCB so I can install in the board and see how that goes. So we'll see. Probably not next week. They're usually slow with 2 weeks. I'll circle back with more information and hopefully a full review. For the news, we finally, I was on the beta, so I was able to experience this new Twitter client for a while, but now it's finally released. Twitterrific for Mac has been totally rewritten from scratch. It's a 5.0, but really like more of a 1.0. There's a bunch of features. If you followed the Kickstarter campaign, you know that there's a few stretch goals that they were able to achieve and add extra features like messages and stuff like that. That wouldn't be really a 1.0 without those, to be honest, but they managed to do it. And there's a bunch more features that are not in the macOS app that are present in the iOS app. So it's still ongoing. It's still something that will need some love and some purchases to move forward. But right off the bat, I did the switch on both my iPhone and my Mac. I'm on Twitterific on both devices, between those, and everything is like very nice. Still need to get used to it because there's a bunch of natural reflexes that I developed with Tweetbot over the years that are now not exactly the same. So still need to get used to it. But from what I've seen, it's pretty great.
When was the project supposed to deliver? It seemed like it's pretty on time, no?
Yeah, it's pretty on time. The Kickstarter campaigns, they have like a little graph with the months, and then they say at this month it's going to be design and approved, and then this month we start the prototype, and then this month the actual production run. Well, for Twitterific, they kind of like a developer plan. Like they really have like these features for this time, this feature, and it was like by week, so it was quite like detailed. So I was expecting them to deliver on time because they had like such a great plan, and also it's not like thing they don't know. They know the API by heart. They know all the little things that you need to know to properly handle edge cases, and they've done it on iOS for many years, and they already did it in the Mac in the past. And this company is the same again for the same developers, everything for many years. So the knowledge was there. So I was pretty confident that when they said, "Okay, we estimate that it's going to take like let's say 3 months to do," it was going to take 3 months or even less. And yeah, they're pretty on time. I don't remember the time. I think it was October, if I'm not wrong, or November starter. So they are pretty on time. And
I just checked. It says August.
for real?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was sure it was much later than that. Maybe it's my my Kickstarter goggles that usually read the date and then add 6 months to it.
Yeah, that's why I thought it was. I thought it was pretty timely, but I guess they're still 3 months off.
Oh well, okay. And never mind. So have you tried the Twitterific for Mac?
No, I wasn't. I didn't back the project, so I wasn't part of like the whole beta program this summer, and I didn't buy it yet either. How much is it here or in the US? I think it's $9.99.
Probably 13, 20. No, 20 in the US. And Canada is $27.99. Yeah, it's expensive. The more I think about it, and the more I really approve of developers doing free apps and in-app purchase for features. Because at least this week you can try it and see if it sticks. Because $28 just to try an app, given that you already have Tweetbot and you already paid like $30 probably a few times for it, it's hard to just go and try for $30 for fun. It's not $1.99, you know? So I don't really like that approach. It should have been free and then some kind of features. But then again, I know that Twitter has limited tokens available per app developer. I don't know what's the deal, but maybe if they do it free and everybody jumps on it, and then their allocation of tokens will be emptied and they won't be able to add new users. So maybe that's why they go it like that. Not sure.
Okay, and then if we continue into the Twitter news, Twitter is trying to fix Twitter. So what did it give us? They give us 280 characters.
And we still have the Nazi.
Yeah, so it's basically the same thing, but instead of the 140 limit, the new limit is 280. And it's not even for everyone yet. It's just rolling out. Like I'm just looking at it now, and I'm still at 140. How about you?
Let me check. I add the Twitter app on my phone, but then when I did my restore, I flushed everything. So, no, 140.
140.
Yep.
So I started seeing a couple tweets that are definitely longer. I don't know what I think about it. For now, if it's just a couple people, it's okay, or a couple tweets in my timeline. But if it starts being like everybody's 280 tweets, 200 character tweets, it's gonna be, I don't know, a bit longer, and it like the whole point of Twitter is being brief and being able to edit your tweet to fit it into 140 characters. So
that's the next feature people want: editing tweets.
Yeah, right. That would have been nicer than 280 characters.
Yeah, but it's hard to implement because, like, you know, the idea is that you say something, let's say, that is pretty bad, and then people reply to you saying that this other person is right or wrong or whatever, and then you just edit your tweet, and then whatever people were replying to then kind of goes the other way around, and they look like they're assholes now. So I don't know how to implement this. Even if you add versions to your tweets and like icons that says that this tweet was edited and you can have access to previous version, it's still very hard to include in the UI. And people who just scroll the timeline, icons and like, I don't know, like version 2, version 3, version 4, So I'm not sure what you do with that. And if you do an edit, do you bring back the tweet to the top of your line because the last update date is now, or you leave it there? Or so I understand that this is hard to implement, and that's probably why they haven't done it yet. Plus, I know that a long time ago, when one of the first DevOps guy from Twitter, who was nicely called Alex, he basically discussed a lot about the infrastructure and kind of archive tweet after a certain time so that they don't have like a live database of every tweet because the scale is just unbearable. I don't know if their architecture changed, or maybe that's why they haven't been able to do it, is if you tweet now and like in 2 weeks you want to edit the tweet is not on the live database anymore. It's on an archived database. And that's why Twitter had problems with search for so long, is that you have to search both the live database and the archived ones. But the archived ones are so huge that a search query could take an hour to run. So that wasn't really feasible. So I know that they fixed that somehow. Maybe they also changed the architecture so that more or all tweets are live. Not sure. We don't have anyone working for Twitter that recently discussed the architecture, so we don't really know. But yeah, that's a technical issue there for that. And the 280 characters, I like it. It's a good idea. I know you're scared of having everybody like screaming 300 characters almost per tweet, but how often do you have tweets in your timeline? People are usually just saying a couple of words and then putting a link, which adds up to maybe 60 or 80 characters. And that's what you're still gonna see. Except that first day, of course, people were abusing that and adding tweets that are 280 lines long, and you would have like full page tweets in your timeline, which was funny at times, not too funny at other times. I'm not afraid of like degrading the experience. And I saw one tweet go by that was pretty interesting, is Canadians know why this is useful? Because we can tweet now in English and French in the same tweet and not have to do 2 tweets or 2 accounts like usually the government does. They have like Industry Canada who has like 2 accounts, one French, one English, because they need to serve both language equally. And now they might be able to do only 1 account and tweet in both languages. So that would be for them and for other government agencies. So that's a good idea. I'm hopeful. It's not, the timing is just bad. Like if they released that like last year, it would have been much better. But now with all the hate going on at Twitter and all the problems with the Nazis and everything and all the racist thing going on, and the president of the United States not helping, all that makes this release like kind of like, yeah, we have this big problem on the hand, and why are you releasing this little feature that makes nothing to fix a problem? It's bad timing, but they were ready and they had to do it. Also, investors, they want Twitter to take risks. They want Twitter to do something to at least try to grow the user base. So anything they can throw to the wall and stick will be good. And I think this is not a bad feature. It's just that it comes too late, and it's a problem because of the timeline. So they should have released it like a year ago or 2 years ago, and it would have been much better.
Do you use the official Twitter app?
Oh, no. Just to check if I have
No.
No. No, I was Tweetbot on iOS and macOS exclusively, and now just because I had Twitterrific on iOS for a while, I went on it once in a while. It better handles, I think, the videos and pictures and albums and everything. So I went for it again with the Mac version. So now both are synced with was it Tweetlater or whatever that service from Anton Rees for, not Tweetlater, but Tweetmarker. Yeah, sorry, for to have your timeline synchronized, and it's pretty nice. I like the, of course, as you know. So yeah, it's pretty great.
And can you do small pictures?
Can
your
you?
timeline instead of the big, huge pictures?
Yes, we can. I think you have 3 sizes. Let me go. Media thumbnail default, small or hidden. So default are the large ones that are the whole width of the window, and small ones are little squares in the right section, kind of like a slightly bigger than the Twitter avatar. So, but on the right instead of the left.
That's what I need.
Yeah, I prefer to have the big ones.
It takes up too much space.
Yeah, but I'm not a completionist, so I don't care. All right, so we are started to see something in the wild, something that we are all expecting to see pretty soon, and some lucky developers were able to get their hands on it. That's a transition, by the way.
Okay, thanks. Because you had to explain that one, so that means it's a horrible transition.
Touché.
So the app Weatherline, it's a weather app. It's really nice. It's the one I use, my favorite app for weather. Their developer, Ryan Jones, he got his hands on an iPhone. You see, I get, every time I read it in my head, I say X, but I know it's 10. So he got his hands on an iPhone 10, and he basically tweeted a couple of responses to his like his hands-on experience, or whatever you want to call it.
First impressions,
yeah. So he says it's amazing, and we're all gonna have to get one, and that's all I read about this, and it makes me nervous.
Yeah, you just have to be strong, my friend. You just have to hold it for next year, like you were expecting to, and then just jump the gun for that $15,000, $1,500 phone.
Yeah, especially
so
here.
Yeah, it's $1,519 plus tax if you want the bigger size, because 64 gig is not enough. So yeah, that's a laptop price.
Yeah, so I played a bit with it in the simulator, and it's pretty nice, but I can't wait to actually see it.
Yeah, the form factor, the feeling in your hand, that's all that really matters. And until you can do that, you don't have the full experience. He looks pretty happy about it. His iPhone 7 is now so that's what you get when you try to use something that's a different form factor, and when you get a new device that pushes the boundaries of or basically shatters the conventions that you were used to. It's the same feeling when you had your Motorola flip phone and then you tried an iPhone. Like, you didn't want to go back to that flip phone for sure. It was so great to have this new screen and this new UI and paradigm, and now it's a kind of the same thing. You still have the same shape, but it's slimmer, it's longer, and the screen is edge to edge, and like all that changes your UI paradigm, because also you have to, there's Face ID, like everything is like so great. So yeah, I can understand his reaction. I too am a little bit worried about this. But yeah, there's no way for me that I'm gonna like throw $1,500 for a phone this year. I just got my 7 Plus end of last year, like November, so for $1,300. So there's no way I'm gonna throw $200 more for a phone this year again.
It's 500 more. It's 1,700 with tax.
Yeah, taxes. I forgot about those.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jeez, no, never.
So it's done. No more iPhone 10. We don't talk about no more.
Yeah, that's it. So let's move on to Amazon. The Fire Phone, man? Fire Phone.
Other stuff we can't get.
Yeah, other stuff we can get, exactly, because Amazon, as usual, has released a bunch of new devices, and none of those are available to us Canadian. So basically, you have new Echoes. Black cylinder is now smaller, more powerful, better sounding, they say. Basically a good evolution for the Amazon cylinder. So that's great. Do you have new Echo Dots?
No, I think they're the same. They just dropped the price or something.
Oh yeah, probably the price. Yeah, and yeah, they should really give you one every time you subscribe to Amazon Prime. Like right. That's like getting in the cheap zone. So they should basically just give them out like candies. Kind of like they did with the what is it, the little button you have to click to automatically order like paper towels or whatever.
It wasn't the dot, it was the
what do you call that? Yeah, I forgot the name.
They were branded, like if you wanted Tide, it was a little Tide button.
Yeah, the little button thing. Yeah, they for a while they were giving those out, and then developers got wind of that, and they got a bunch and started to use them for other means, which was pretty cool, but not the intended behavior that Amazon was expected. So they basically stopped that. So, and I think they're selling them for like $10 or whatever. But still, these things again, they should give like 3 with every Amazon Prime subscription, and give it Echo Dot and maybe like a rebate on the big cylinder, just to get inside that Echo Amazon Alexa thing. So yeah, that's great for Amazon. I've never tried one, so it's hard for me to say if ever there's lots of improvements to be done. But from what we heard on other podcasts, the sound quality is not great. It's okay. It's nowhere near any Sonos speakers, but it still seems to be so useful. So like with such few friction that people prefer to just have bad sounding speakers, but ease of use to get to their music. So I can understand that. I had the same impressions when I tried to Google Home a couple of months ago. It basically is the same thing. The sound wasn't great. It was okay, slightly better than okay, I would say. It's so easy to just tell the little speaker to play this song or this artist, or play me the best song of this artist, and then you have a little mini playlist that's been built for you. So that was pretty great. And I understand the ease of use argument, but still, for me, Sonos is still high in my heart and with the best sound quality. So yeah, more in a few minutes.
Okay, so the new lineup is the Echo Dot, which is a little hockey puck, the Echo, which is like the classic one, and then there's Echo Plus that looks like the older one. It's just like taller.
Okay.
The Echo Spot, it's like a little ball with a round screen, and I think they can display like the weather and like basic information, time and stuff like that.
Yeah, I
And
think
the
this one is
Echo
like the
A.
no, I think the small one, the ball is like the like alarm clock thingy that you put on your nightstand or whatever.
Oh yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
But
could work
you
for
can
that.
get calls through it too because it has a camera, like a FaceTime little camera, so you can talk to people.
More duct tape on those.
And then you have the Echo Show, which is the big one they released a couple months ago.
It had a price drop, no? I think
Yeah,
it's
like the
cheaper
big
now.
screen.
Yeah.
And last but not least, the Echo Look, the one that's going to tell you how to dress in the morning.
Yeah, cool. Yeah.
Oh no, and there's another one. Sorry, the Amazon Tap. It's a
Tap beer, no? For beer? No.
okay. Oh, okay. Sorry, it's not like it's an Alexa enabled Bluetooth speaker, but it's from Amazon as well.
Okay. Yeah, because I think they even started to widen their approach. I think there's even an Anchor speaker that has Alexa built in now. So they are starting to embrace third party makers and allow them to leverage their Echo features in their own devices. So
Yeah, like the Echo Bee, the home.
yeah,
Thing.
smart thermostat. Yeah,
Yeah, they have it too.
yeah, yeah. And we'll probably see more and more, because I know there's like even a do-it-yourself from Amazon where you can do it like on a Raspberry Pi, and there's people doing it on a bunch of different things, and there's even apps on iOS that are basically leveraging the Amazon Alexa assistant. So of course you don't have access to do everything like you would a normal Echo. I think Amazon still restricts integrations so that they have all the integration possible on their speakers, but third party have a subset of those. So it's still not equal, but it's getting close. Following that, we also had another event. This time was Google, who announced new stuff. This time, new Pixels. We were expecting those because we saw a few leaks over the last few months. So a new Google Pixel, new Google Pixel XL with funny color names as usual, like what is it, like just black or
Super blue,
barely white or whatever. Yeah, super blue, whatever. So that's I like those names because it really is exactly what they are. That's fun. Faster, of course. They still have a single camera, but for the camera, they tried to do something special where I don't really understand it, but bear with me. They kind of like capture 2 pixels for each pixels so that it can fake to have 2 cameras. So one pixel is like the in focus element, and then the other pixel is kind of like a depth sensing pixel. So I don't know if it focuses on the backdrop or something, but it's the software to do kind of like a portrait mode on a single camera. So from what we've seen on people doing the hands-on area and started to give out some reviews, it seems to be pretty nice. It seems to be effective. I haven't looked at it very deeply, especially when you do portrait mode, you have to look for strands of hair. That's usually where the focus is wrong, and it kind of put the air in the background instead of being in the foreground. So that's the kind of harder scenarios. Not sure if the Pixel does it well. That still needs to be proven. Other than that, the overall chip is very similar to what we had before. It's now looking more like a little LG or HTC phone. So it's more like a end of 2016, early 2017 design. So it's not like bezel-less. It's smaller bezel, but it's not as flamboyant as an iPhone X per se. So people are complaining that it's a not super exciting design. That's what it has to do, but it's not earth-shattering. So
and also there's a big difference between all you've been describing right now is the Pixel XL, but there's just a normal Pixel 2. And that one comes with big bezels. It's an older AMOLED screen instead of the OLED.
Okay, I thought you had the same thing for both, but just small size difference. Or
no, and nobody's talking about the Pixel. Everybody's talking about the Pixel XL.
Oh, that sucks. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, no more headphone jack.
Yeah,
that's pretty nice.
Yep. 1 year later.
Yeah, they had like ad campaigns saying, like, if you want a headphone jack, buy this phone, or basically something like that. No.
Yeah, they had the whole campaign like we still have the headphone jacks. Look at what we can do with our phone and not the other competitor's phone, and blah blah blah. And no camera bump also. That was a big thing that from last year,
which they have now.
So they have a camera bump, and they lost the headphone jack, and they still have the sensor on the back for the fingerprint reader in the center, which is not bad. For the XL, it was pretty good for me. They also have this new colored lock button, which is kind of like a design choice, kind of like the dot on the Apple Watch LTE. I prefer it on this phone. The colors are nice. The orange on the black and white thing is pretty nice looking. Is it always orange, or is there a bunch of colors?
No, if the phone is blue, it's like teal, turquoise.
Okay. It's not that bad. I know people are complaining a lot about Google aesthetics, but I personally like it very, very much. Colors and textures and the fabric, it's pretty nice. I know certain people have their assistant in the kitchen, near the sink or near the oven, so it's going to be quite dirty quite fast. But I wouldn't, and for me, it's not a problem that it's fabric covered, and personally, I like it better. I would say it's less of a aggressive, shiny black plastic thing, and more of a here's a little thing with some fabric on it that is not as screaming as shiny plastic. So,
did they release anything else?
Yeah, they released the Mini, which is kind of a Echo Dot thingy, which had a big bug. Basically, one of the reviewers basically looked at his history of queries done to the speaker, probably because he wanted to see how many failed he has or how many successes. And he realized that every single thing that was said was sent to Google. So apparently you can trigger this with the trigger word as you normally would, but there's also a hardware button that you just press and that triggers it the same way. But there seems to be a hardware problem where once you activate that button, it sticks on forever. So everything that's been said in the household has been recorded, sent to Google, and most of the time it silently fails, I guess, or maybe I don't know what's happening, but basically it's a big problem. So Google already pushed an update, like I think it was like where it would basically disable the hardware button. So that thing is now not available anymore. So you can only trigger it by speaking to the little puck. So that's good. At least we had tools to see what the queries were. So it's not something that it's not as if they were trying to be like spying on you for real. It was, I think it's really like a real problem, a real bug they had. And
Okay,
also
so up
the
next,
wait, no wait, not yet, not yet. There's more.
there's more.
There was the big the laptop one, the big Pixel book, which is a $1,300 laptop Chromebook. Very very square, very googly, very reminiscent of the Pixel phones. So it's a convertible, so it can be flipped to be tablet. It can be laptop. It can be standing on in an A shape if you want to use it as a stand-up tablet. So that's a Chromebook. It's more powerful, unibody. Nice about laptops today in this Pixel laptop. And then there's also a new Google Daydream View. So the fabric covered VR headset has gotten an update. So once again, it's still the same kind of fabric thingy, but it's just a different shape. And they just slightly got it better. So I don't know really the details about those. I haven't read much about it, but it's a. And then you also have more things. The Google Home Max, which is a big kind of like the Sonos Play 5. Play 3 speaker. So it's a wider, bigger speaker with subwoofers integrated, tweeters and everything. This will come probably end of year, I think. There's a wait list right now, so you still cannot purchase it. So that's about it from Google.
Now, the news you've been waiting for.
And this one is nice.
Alex talks about Sonos.
We discussed this in the past, so it could be kind of follow-up, but it's not really because we now have the full disclosure of the thing. We saw an event invitation a few weeks ago inviting Tech Press to a Sonos event, and there was a 4 parts graphic that was split in 4 different invitations, and reviewers around the world who share those invitations, and then you could attach them as a puzzle and guess what the design was. So it was basically like a play pause, a speaker, and volume kind of control UI element. And people were saying, okay, finally we'll get some Sonos speakers with some kind of a smart assistant. And we did. Basically, Sonos announced the Sonos One, not to be confused with the Play One, which is the exact same shape, exact same size, of just being a smart speaker. It's a smart assistant powered speaker. So you have a few more buttons on it, and it can also interact with your voice. So at first, coming out is going to come up with the Amazon Echo Assistant. So that's nice. So you have right now we still don't know exactly what's the extent of what you can do with that assistant, but I'm assuming it's going to be pretty close to what Amazon does with just because it's a big partnership and they've been on it for a while. The Sonos president said a couple months ago that he had a mea culpa to do because he did not get on board the assistant thing fast enough, and he realizes that his leadership in that segment of the market was not there, and he basically excused himself for that, and he said quickly that he was going to repair this problem and on it quickly. And of course, you cannot start like 4 months ago and have something cooked and ready to launch. So what he meant by that is that he's going to partner with other companies that does this exact thing and merge this feature in their products. So that's what they do. And they did it with the Amazon Alexa first, to be released. I think it's this year. I think it's this year, yeah. In a couple of weeks, you can be able to get your Sonos One. But the cool thing is they wanted to go one step further. So what they did is they also partnered with Google. So coming next year, you'll be able to choose between Amazon and Google for the assistant part. So that's pretty great. And also for all of you who are complainers about those speakers, because the Sonos speakers don't do AirPlay, it sucks because you have to go through the app and blah, blah, blah. Yes, it's not the best thing there, but once you get it configured, especially now that they recently updated the app, even though they haven't launched the Sonos One yet, you can still use the app right now. Features, it's a lot better designed, and it's a lot faster to get to your music and play it. But still, next year you'll be able to do AirPlay too. So for years and years, people were complaining that the AirPlay technology was not included in those speakers, and that's basically because Sonos had their own technology to do multi-room audio. And think of the using of the system. If you were to expect our Sonos speakers, and you can AirPlay your music to more than one room, but then you would not be able to do it. So it's not a nice way to use the system. That's why they probably never implemented AirPlay. But now that AirPlay 2 does it, and it's coming out end of this year, probably early next year for third parties, they'll be able to implement it, and you'll be able to broadcast your phone music to your Sonos speaker system in one click. And knowing Sonos, they already released the update. I haven't even looked at it if I have the assistant, but I think I already do. I think you can already have the Sonos assistant built in the app right now. Even if you don't have a Sonos One, if you have any other types of Sonos speaker, you can already use it, I think.
So, are you gonna get this one? Is it worth upgrading just for the smarts?
Well, yes and no. If you already have a Play One and your intended use is just room audio player, no. I don't think you're going to miss the smart feature that much. But if you're like me and you have a Sonos Play Bar and you have only one single Sonos One speaker, a Sonos Play One, then you can get a second one. And then when you want to watch like this big family movie together, you take both your small Play Ones and you bring them to the living room, and you can configure channels for the movies, yeah. So you can have like a more of a surround sound. So yes, I'm gonna get one just for that. So if ever I do, well, not ever because I often do it, but like whenever we do like a movie night, then you just move your speaker around, you just put them either on stands or furniture, and then you have a surround sound experience. So yeah, that will be fun for me because I need to add to my system, and it doesn't require me to replace anything. So the one I already have will still be there, still going to be used as it was. And no, I don't have the feature in the app, so it might be just something for the US for now. Because I think I heard like Marco Arman saying that he had the feature. Because I have my favorites, I've got my browsing section with all my accounts on like Apple Music, Bandcamp, etc. The rooms section, which is my 2 speakers, and only search and more. I can only meet Sonos One. Do more than that, so I can just pre-order from the app, but not configure Alexa. So it's probably US only for now. But don't worry, it's going to come here for sure.
The Alexa support?
Oh, I'm sure, yes. Because Sonos is worldwide, and this might be one of the ways that Amazon releases its features worldwide, is by partnering with some other vendor that already has a worldwide distribution network. It will be much easier than to have their worldwide store manage the inventory and everything. So yeah, I'm pretty sure it's going to be coming here soon.
Do you think it's like you think that Sonos not being in Canada a lot is because of the distribution?
Not Sonos, but Amazon, yes. Yes.
But Amazon is worldwide.
It is, but still to have their thing pre-approved, having hardware approved to be distributed.
The certifications and everything?
Yeah, everything is a real pain in the ass. So if they can skip that for now, at least, and get their partners to do it instead, because Sonos already did all that, and they already have like one single website where you can order their products and get them almost worldwide, and there's partners everywhere. Like even here, like in Quebec, we have these Centre Hi-Fi, which is a TV and home small shop, and they had for many years, and they still have this big Sonos wall where you can try all these different speakers. So they already have like a good channel for distribution with partners and by themselves. So I think they're going to leverage that to get Amazon Alexa everywhere in the world. So we also have The Impossible Dream of USB-C. I haven't read this article, so please indulge me.
So it's basically what we were talking about when we talked about USB-C a lot and all that. When the Mac came out, the new MacBook Pro, came out. It it's just basically the idea of, yes, USB-C is for everything and it fits everywhere and it works everywhere, but asterisk, because of all the, you can use USB over USB-C, you can use Thunderbolt. There's the mini display port that goes over it. There's like the whole video thing. And then depending on the port on your computer, it changes. Depending on the actual wires you buy, it changes. So it's just a nice little summary of all the problems right now with USB-C and the dream of having USB-C everywhere. And it just echoes what we talked about a couple months back.
So it's basically universal, but not universally adopted.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. It's still a big pain oftentimes. Yeah, just the cable situation. It's kind of like HDMI nowadays, where you have a bunch of different versions of HDMI. Some do 4K, some don't. Some do 4K, just do 4K, but not HDR. So it's a big problem trying to get the good cable for your good setup. Whereas if you go back like 4 years ago, there was one HDMI cable which worked with everything, and you can even go to the dollar store and get one for $3, and it was either working or not, and that was it. But nowadays, like you say, USB-C, you have the wattage that is different between different cable. The cable themselves are thicker because they can provide more power. So, for example, your MacBook Pro has the, like 81? 61 watts. So that's a thicker cable. And I'm guessing if you go to the 80-ish watts for the 15-inch, the cable might be bigger also. You also have cheap Amazon basic branded USB-C cables that are super thin, and you're thinking, oh, good, this is smaller, lighter, it will do the job. Nope. It's only like leveraging like 10 to 12 watts of power, so you cannot charge your computer with that. You can only transfer data. There's the super speed, there's the regular speed, because USB-C is fast, we know that. But there's also like a super speed version where you can leverage more than one channel. So that's another type of cable you have to think. So usually those comes with very fast external hard drives. That's one place where you can get those good cables. Thankfully, there's Monoprice. You can still get some affordable cables there, but you need to drill down the text sheet, and see exactly what's the power capabilities, what's the speed, is it single or dual band. It's cumbersome for your dad or for who just wants a cable. Yeah, it's just like. And also just the price. If you're saying, okay, I'll just get the Apple cable just because I know it's going to work for power and for speed transfer, I don't think they're the fastest. I don't think they support the most recent addition to the USB-C standard, which is faster transfer. And also they're super expensive. So then again, get a cable for what is like $30 or $40 here. Just for that cable makes no sense. You can get the mono price for like probably $9, but it's not the right one. So it's a situation where they want to make one connector work for everything, but they have so many requirements, so many technologies they want to cram into that thing that it's not even universal anymore. It's going to be like segregated by type, power, and maybe something else eventually. We just don't know because the standard keeps evolving. That's one thing we didn't have before. Like when you had USB 2, you had USB 2. Then you had USB 3, but that was like over 10 years afterwards. So then the new cable had like a blue end, so you were able to know that, okay, this is a new cable, this is the old one, so it's reverse compatible, so it's going to work with the old ports, but it's not going to leverage the new speeds. But now it's like the exact same cable has no color code. It can or cannot do something. It can or cannot do something else. It's fast or slow. It's a nightmare. So yeah, I agree. It's an impossible dream.
Yeah, because USB 4 is just right around the corner, and then we're going to have this new connector, because this one is way too thick. We're going to have to make it smaller.
Yeah, I forgot about that. True. Oh, God.
So it's a never-ending story.
Yeah, how much you want to bet that it's going to be like the mini USB-C connector? Kind of like we had the HDMI USB. And the mini. Yeah. You're right. I forgot about that. Oh yeah. So we're in for a boatload of fun if I want to remove some beeps from this episode.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So it's fun stuff. One thing I noticed for the HDMI situation though is the Roku. I don't know which model is the one I have. The high-end one, which has 4K HDR, it actually has in the settings menu, when you plug in your HDMI cable, you go in the settings menu and you can test, see if it supports 4K and HDR or not. And so you have the little wizard there that does some testing, and I don't know what it does, but it basically diagnoses your cable, and you can know if you have a good or bad cable. And that's how I knew I had a bad cable, because I had a HDMI cable that was 4K compatible, and I was sure that it was a 4K and HDR, but in the end it wasn't. It was just 4K. So I had to go back to Amazon, try to find the good one, the HDMI with the stamp of approval kind of thing. So they basically have like a little HDMI approved symbol they put on cables that are 4K and HDR. So they basically have like all the features. So that's the cable you want to get if you have a 4K and HDR TV. But then those cables are not the Amazon Basics. They are more expensive. They're usually other companies. But I have also saw a situation where in the Amazon comments reviews that people were not having success with those. Man, it's yeah. But USB-C is the same thing. So it's yeah. You remember a few decades ago, when we had our big, nice tower PCs and they had color-coded cables in the back and everything worked if it was able to be plugged in. So that was simple. Like, get that jack.
If it fits, it works.
Yeah, that jack is the teal one, goes into the teal connector. This is the blue one, goes in the blue, the red in the red, and that's it. It works. Wow, those were the days, man.
Those days are long gone.
Oh yeah, they are. Moving on to Rumors Corner, we have a small rumor this week. Basically, that supposedly Apple is to release a new iPhone in 2018 with pencil support. And now I started to see already yesterday, like blog posts about Apple are doing it wrong. Remember Steve Jobs when he said, if you have a stylus with your phone, you're doing it wrong. Blah blah blah. Like, come on, guys. This just gives me on my nerves, and sometimes I just like rage post a a little article about those things. Like, yes, in 2007, if you had to have a stylus in order to be able to hit the little mini UI elements of your OS, then yes, you were doing it wrong, because it required an external device to use, which is exactly what Apple didn't want to do. They specifically use your thumb or your finger because it was already with you, and it was much easier to just drag big UI element or hit big buttons than just try to hit this 12 by 12 pixel little checkbox like you have on Windows mobile since whatever. And now, if they release a Apple Pencil support for the iPhone, you really think they're going to change the UI and bring all those very small UI elements from the past? No, they're not. It's just going to be your phone with a pencil support. So you'll be able to draw, maybe do hand recognition, so you can write words, and it's going to do like it did with the Newton.
Palm Pilot.
Yeah, the Newton, even better.
Sorry.
And you're going to just write your stuff, and it's going to transfer and recognize your handwriting and convert that to text. So it's going to have more feature, but it's not going to replace the UI paradigm with new small 12 by 12 pixel checkbox. It's going to be the same thing. You might be able to use it to tap UI element like you are on the iPad, but it's not going to replace anything. So it's not going backwards. It's not changing their main idea or changing the UI paradigm. It's only just adding a feature. So calm down, bye, guys. It's just that. End of my little complaint there.
End of rant.
Yeah. Jeez. Anything else?
I think that's it.
That's it. So let's end this on this rumor thing. That is just clickbaity articles for people complaining about the stylus or / pencil support. Anyways,
it's all gonna be fine.
The only thing, the only good thing that we got from this, this came out from the Korea Herald, and it was translated into the Investor, is basically that the technology used right now for the is a electromagnetic resonance pencil. So it requires hardware in the screen to work. So your screen by itself, your display assembly, if you want to include everything, which is the touch panel, the LCD screen, and everything in between, this requires more hardware, thus it's more expensive. So what Apple is aiming to do is to use a supercapacitor stylus type. So it's a different type of stylus that does not require new hardware in the screen. So they will be able to do probably like they are doing ads, which have specific hardware in them to have pencil support, but it would be included in every screen, or is probably already included in every screen, because the technology will now be in the stylus instead of being in the screen. So cheaper iPads, cheaper iPhones with pencil support. So it's all good. Nothing's wrong there.
No, it's all going to be all right.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be okay.
Yeah, like for Twitter and the Tweety characters, it's going to be all right.
Yeah.
All right. You can find the show notes at rgba.fm/66. You can find us on Twitter at _RGBAfm. You can find us personally on Twitter also at Valia, VALLIERES.
And I can be found at TylerMenard, TYLERMENARD.
Have a nice week.
Have a nice week.